The following is a presentation of the Healthcare Facilities Network. They don't even have that baseline understanding. Can you simplify it for them?
Sure. So I guess sustainability, what is it? What is it not? I'm going to actually start with what is it not, because
Sure.
it's often mischaracterized.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people think sustainability is just about planet. It's just about pollution. It's just about reducing your environmental impact. That's not true at all. Sustainability actually exists across multiple domains. It's the sustainability of the planet, yes, but it's more so the sustainability of people. It's the sustainability of the economy, right? So it's people, it's planet, it's profit. It's not just sustaining the planet, it's sustaining all of those things, right? So it's about, as human beings, what are our needs? As an economy, what are our needs? And as part of those two, we will need to sustain the planet and our natural resources. And in order to exist tomorrow, we will need to change our behaviors so that we are sustaining our planet and sustaining our natural resources. But I don't believe in this sort of, you do sustainability because you're a tree hugger. I'm not going to chain myself to that tree to tell you not to cut it down for the tree's sake. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stand in front of the tree with an analysis of what's going to happen to our atmosphere and the health of the community if you cut down that tree. So to me, it's not about the tree, it's about the people and the planet and the economy that are benefiting from all of the natural capital that that tree is providing us, namely protecting us from excess heat, absorbing excess carbon dioxide, giving us oxygen, preventing floods, all of the things that that tree is giving us as a community and as a population. That's why you can't cut down the tree. I'm not here for the tree's sake.
Yeah. So you're connecting to something, you're making those connections to something beyond that simple word or that simple deed.
Yeah, we're all connected, right? Like we rely on natural capital to survive.
Yeah.
And it's not one or the other. Sustainability is not one or the other. It's everything in unison.
So along the lines of what sustainability is, how do you bring that? How do you transition the tree into the hospital? How do you take that integrated thought and translate, sustainability into the hospital environment?
Yeah, so I think part of the reason sustainability and the decarbonization of healthcare is resonating so much with clinicians right now is that we understand more and more that the environmental degradation in healthcare stands in direct opposition to what we aim to do in healthcare. Right? It almost, to not care about sustainability in healthcare almost goes against the Hippocratic Oath to do no harm, right? And, as a health system, the health system is responsible for about 8.59% of domestic carbon emissions, the health system and its supply chain. And warming emissions aside, there's so many other ways in which the health system in a community is a huge source of pollution, right? In many of our communities, the health system is the largest employer, right? And then you have all of the employees commuting to work every day, and all the emissions associated with that. You have these supply chains that are so full of plastic, and you have the hazardous waste coming out of the hospital, and you have the huge amount of water that the hospital is using. So in many communities, the health system is the biggest polluter. And that pollution directly causes some of the illnesses that are showing up at that hospital. So the health system is the ultimate example of this cyclical nature where we harm the environment and it in turn harms us. As the health system, we pollute our community and the community gets sick and shows up at our hospital.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason that sustainability resonates so much with clinicians. And then, again, going back to what is sustainability not, it is not always a cost. It is actually usually a benefit in terms of the operating costs of the hospital. There is so much money to be saved in enhancing the efficiency of your organization, and every one of those dollars can go back into patient care.
I'm sorry. I
Oh,
was
no,
gonna say, how do you deal with that? Because everybody, especially these days, it's just society wants immediacy, right? It's your payback has to be immediate. How do you deal with kind of that with I know there are some short-term paybacks which you can get really quickly, but how do you deal with that, the payback and the return on investment and the length of time it may take?
Yeah, that's a real tricky one. I mean, as we've talked about, there's so many competing priorities in
Yeah,
healthcare.
right.
And, part of the reason I like doing this work in healthcare is like it's one of the most challenging sectors, I think, to do this work, because the profit margins are so razor thin, if they even exist at all, in a lot of our large health systems.
There's your pragmatic side coming in, which is right.
Yeah. So there are certain things that can bring a very quick ROI. For example, LED implementation. An LED light bulb compared to a traditional incandescent bulb can use 80 to 90% less energy, right? So some of the small, what I always call the low-hanging fruit, you can
Yeah.
get a very quick ROI on some projects like that. And then some of them, there is going to be a longer ROI. Some of the things that are a little bit more difficult or expensive to implement upfront. But now we do have a lot of helpful things to help organizations navigate that, like commercial utility incentives, and a lot of great stuff from the IRA that help make those ROIs shorter and shorter, and allow us to finance these things in these resource scarce healthcare settings.
Yeah.